Hi, I'm Grant Goodman, and I'm thrilled to be a part of this year's Literary Hill Virtual Book Fest. I used to be a martial arts instructor, and then I became an English teacher. I have taught 6th, 7th, 8th, ninth, 10th, and 11th grade. And along the way, I started writing action adventure novels for readers between the ages of 8 and 800. Especially for the young at heart. I grew up with a strong love of comics and cartoons and dragons and robots and spaceships and all kinds of fun imagination. And I wanted to write a book series that connected so many things that I loved. And so for the past couple of years, I have been putting together a book series called Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve. The fourth novel came out recently. It's called Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve, Shogun Showdown. I have like a test print here, so the actual cover doesn't have the not for resale on it, but it definitely has this dragon roller coaster with Ninja Steve on it. So super thrilled with that. But yeah, so my stories are about a 13-year-old secret agent in training named Agent Darcy. She is studying at the Bureau of Sneakery to become a secret agent, and she winds up being sent in the first novel on a mission to an all-ninja village where 12-year-old Ninja Steve attends ninja school. He has martial arts classes. He has regular ninja history classes. I shouldn't call it regular. And it's about how the two of them become friends and go on all kinds of adventures together. I wanted to have books that families could read together out loud. I wanted to have books that readers between the ages of like 8 and 12, if they wanted an adventure to embark on their own, they could do that. And so, there are 5 books planned in the series, and book 4 just came out. And today I wanted to read you a little bit of the opening chapter of book 4, Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve, Shogun Showdown. I had a lot of fun putting this one together. It draws on a lot of like fun show and comic ideas that I got to, stitch together in my head. And it took a while. This one went through a lot of writing and rewriting. My first draft and my final draft wound up being very, very different in many places. But it was, the whole point of the book is to send my characters on an adventure, and it sent me on a really fun adventure too. So in my books, one chapter will be told from Ninja Steve's perspective, and then the next chapter will be told from Agent Darcy's perspective, and it always switches back and forth. So the first chapter of Shogun Showdown is from Ninja Steve. Sorry, focuses on Ninja Steve. Ninja Steve twisted in midair, dodging the tomato that was speeding toward him. The bright red fruit went whizzing past Steve's ear, and tomato guts exploded on the wall behind him as he hit the ground and rolled. The moment Steve got to his feet, Sensei Rahim kicked him behind the knees, knocking Steve flat on his back. Steve sat up and let out a single huff. He knew that his sister would have had faster reflexes. Nora would have hopped over that low kick and countered. "Your reflexes have gotten faster every month," said Sensei Rahim, an approving smile on his face. "I'm throwing those tomatoes with 100% of my strength now." "I'm still not fast enough," Steve said. "The Unlimited Power Tournament's first round is 5 days from today. I'm not prepared." "Steve, you're very well prepared for the youth tournament," his teacher said. "I've never knocked you down. Months of training, and I've never knocked you down." "None of you have," Sensei Rahim said, gesturing to the other 3 finalists, Noah, Denna, and Miley, who were there for the latest pre-sunrise training session. Every time Steve looked at them, he expected to see Darcy there too. But she wasn't interested in the tournament. She said she needed a break from high-pressure fighting, and Steve respected that. Everyone in middle or high school had been invited to try out for the Unlimited Power Tournament's youth division. Steve and the other 3 ninja students had fought and won multiple matches in the local battle tournament hosted by Ninja Amari, leader of the Sisterhood of Butt Kicking. The rules had been simple. You put on padded gear and faced an opponent. The first fighter to land 2 clean, controlled hits on their opponent's head or torso would advance. Steve knew that he was the only 12-year-old who had made it, the youngest of the ninjas. At first, he had been afraid that the other finalists would refer to him as Nora's little brother. That wasn't the case, though. They all called him Ninja Steve. "It's okay that no one has knocked me down," Sensei Rahim continued. "There are multiple ways to win an official youth tournament match. You can win by knocking someone down 2 times, sure, but you can also win by knocking them out of the ring 2 times. "We've never succeeded at that either," Steve said. "If my students were routinely knocking me around, I wouldn't be a good enough teacher," Sensei Rahim said. "When you have your first match, you'll see how much you've improved. Now, let's amp up the difficulty." Steve hated this part the most. Sensei Rahim offered Steve 1 tomato. Steve took the palm-sized fruit and balanced it on top of his head. He needed to keep it there as long as possible. Sensei Rahim didn't hand the next tomato to Steve. He took 10 steps back, then aimed it at Steve's face. Steve ducked, keeping his spine straight, his head steady. The one after that flew towards Steve's right foot. He yanked his foot up quickly, the tomato on his head beginning to wobble. Sensei Rahim saw an opportunity and sent a barrage of green, red, and yellow tomatoes at Steve. Nora would have used the spell of ballerina grace to enhance the precision of her foot movements and posture. But not only was Steve too young to legally learn that, using a spell would break a key tournament rule. In order to keep the competition fair, no one could use any kind of special technique, weapon, or technology upgrade in the youth tournament. Steve managed to dodge everything for a full minute before a tomato finally hit his shoulder at high speed and knocked him down. The tomato on his head rolled off and landed on the floor beside him. The other ninja students clapped silently in appreciation of Steve's efforts. On her way to take his place in the ring, Ninja Denna, 16, handed Steve a black washcloth so he could wipe away some of the tomato remnants on his uniform. As usual, everyone eventually got hit with a tomato. At the very end of practice, they all stood together in a circle. "Remember," said Sensei Rahim, "in the Unlimited Power Tournament, you can only rely on your own strength," they all said. This had been Sensei Rahim's mantra during every training session. The words were featured prominently in Chapter 25 of Sensei Rahim's Guide to Supreme Ninja Skills and Tomato Gardening. Steve was on his way out the door when Sensei Rahim said, "Steve, I want you to know that I believe you can win the grand prize." The grand prize. The winner and one person of their choice would receive a full month of martial arts lessons with Dr. Ember November, the founder of the Unlimited Power Tournament and a titan of professional martial arts who never lost a single fight in her entire career. Steve wanted that prize. He planned to use it to bring Nora back to the family. After all, Nora had abandoned them to train with 3 and President Ninja's sister, Nessa. Steve didn't like 3, the mysterious masked guy who was always stepping in and out of portals. But 3 had convinced Nora that Ninja Storia would never take her talent seriously enough, would never let her reach her full potential. And that was why she'd left. If Steve could get Nora lessons with Dr. Ember November, he was sure that would be enough to bring her home. Sensei Rahim brought Steve back to reality when he said, "Ninja Steve, you're spacing out." Steve caught himself. "Thank you, Sensei. You sure you don't want to come to Bushido Gardens to watch the tournament?" "We still have so much rebuilding to do here in Ninja Storia," he said. "Even if I'm not there, I want you to know that I'm proud of you, Ninja Steve. You've transformed yourself since the end of the war." Steve nodded. It was disappointing that Sensei Rahim wouldn't be there. He could have provided them with a few more days of training in Bushido Gardens before the start of the tournament. However, Steve understood the importance of rebuilding the country after the Mecha Moles had destroyed so much of it. While a lack of last-minute training was disappointing, it did mean that Steve would have more time to hang out with Samurai Sam. Sam's family had fled Ninja Storia when the Mecha Moles had invaded, and they hadn't returned. Steve was grateful for this chance to spend several days living at his best friend's house. As he walked out into the early morning sunshine, he saw that the latest round of repairs to Ninja Storia was going well. Kick and Cake had been patched up, and it even added a patio. The movie theater was almost ready to reopen. Steve took a route that sent him past Throwing Star Buck's coffee shop. He and Darcy met up there once or twice a week to study while drinking tea. Some people said that Buck's roasted green tea was too roasted. Steve thought it tasted fine. When he got home, his house was empty. His parents had left earlier in the week. Another mission to search for Nora. 5 months, Ninja Steve said, looking at the family photo in the living room. It's been 5 months since you disappeared, Nora. I wish you could see me now. Most days, he still knew that he couldn't compare to Nora's sheer brilliance. The more time passed, the more he realized that he needed to accept what President Ninja had told him long ago, that he could hide in her shadow and blame her for making him feel inferior, or he could build himself up and be his own ninja. He was trying to build himself up, but sometimes he still found himself comparing what he could do to what she could do. It was easy to feel down about yourself when your sister was so talented that she had graduated from ninja college at 16. She had also invented several useful techniques, including the spell of 8 sneezes and the spell of 3 burps. Steve hated to admit, though, that Nora's absence had actually given him room to grow. He could see that his parents were happy with his changed attitude towards school. They still weren't paying a ton of attention to him, but he didn't hold that against them. They were searching for their daughter. He sat down at the kitchen table, got out his homework, and didn't get up until all of it was done. Steve labeled the parts of a eukaryotic cell, wrote out notes on Ninja Gretel's most famous techniques, and made a list of his fitness goals for each day of the week. He had found that once he'd started actually doing his homework, he was pretty good at it. And then when he went to his classes, he felt like he belonged there. He went to his room and turned on the light. Last month, on a rare weekend, when both of his parents were home taking a break from their search, he had talked them into a small art project. They had moved his favorite kung fu poster to another wall. In its place, his parents had helped him neatly paint his favorite words from Sensei Rahim's classes and book. Rely on your own strength. He repeated those words over and over. Sometimes when he was brushing his teeth, he found himself thinking those words to the rhythm of his brushing. Some mornings he woke up and those words were his first thought. He picked up his copy of Sensei Rahim's Guide to Supreme Ninja Skills and Tomato Gardening. The spine of the book had tons of tiny creases in it, and some of the pages had fallen out. Steve flipped to Chapter 25, How to Enter and Win the Unlimited Power Tournament. He was going to win the youth tournament. He was going to win the grand prize and use it to convince his sister that it was time for her to come home. It was time to be a family again. So that is the opening chapter of Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve, Shogun Showdown. It is the 4th book in the series, but I'm so proud to have a new book out that I wanted to read a chapter from it. So the first book in the series is called Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve, Tiger Trouble. It is available through Amazon, and it is available through Barnes & Noble's website. And it kicks off a whole bunch of really fun martial arts adventures with great friendships and families working together and ninjas and agents and robots and other magical residents of this world, learning about who they are, what they want, how they may be different, but how they can work together to overcome their differences and combine them to turn them into strengths. So thank you so much for stopping by and listening to Chapter 1 of Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve Shogun Showdown. And if you have picked up the previous books and this new one is now headed your way, I hope you have as much fun reading it as I have had writing it. And if you want to start the journey from the beginning, because every book does lead into the next book. Book 1 is Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve, Tiger Trouble. I'm Grant Goodman, and it has been so great to read out loud to you. Thank you to everybody at the Literary Hill Book Fest for putting this wonderful virtual event together and giving so many DC authors a way to connect with, well, I guess this year it'll be local and beyond through the magic of the internet. So, yeah, take care, be well, and yeah, hope you have fun on some magical martial arts adventures with Agent Darcy and Ninja Steve.